What's going on, friends, family? This is My Thoughts Uncut. I'm Terrence Manning. We're going to talk about Tom Homan. He was recently on News Nation. They were at the Kennedy Center. He talked with Stephen A. Smith. He talked with Bill O'Reilly. We're going to check this out together. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get to it.
The ICE agents that you command have been demonized as Gestapo, and they're kicking in doors and dragging people out, and their kids are crying. You've heard it all. But what I want you to explain tonight is, what are the orders of the men and women who are on these raids? What are they supposed to do?
Well, they're enforcing immigration laws as enacted by Congress. They're upholding the oath they took to enforce those laws. They're not making this up. So when the people want to attack ICE for doing what they're doing, well, why don't you go scream at Congress? They wrote the law.
And see, he's right, because what Congress, their job is literally to create, debate, and vote on federal laws. That's their job. They also hold the purse, which means they control the revenue, the exclusive power to spend. So he's right. If you don't like the law, talk to Congress. They're the one that created the law. ICE is upholding it and enforcing it.
I mean, ICE is just enforcing the law, but ICE is prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats. And the data proves it. I look at the data every morning on the way to work. I look at 22 pages of data. And the last time I looked at, a couple of days ago, when I actually looked at percentages, nearly 70% of everybody ICE arrests are public safety threats or national security threats.
What about the other 30? How do they get?
Many of them are national security threats. For instance,
So what I'm assuming what he's going to say is, okay, you're going after the criminals that entered the country illegally. When they get here, they commit further crimes. Those are the priority. The heinous crimes: murder, kidnapped, grape, doing stuff with minors, things like that. So when they go get those guys, because it's a sanctuary city in these states, instead of going to the jails and just getting them safely, putting them in the car, transporting them over, what happens in sanctuary cities is they allow these criminals out of the jail. Now ICE has to go back and get them in the streets. With that said, where are they hanging out with? They're hanging out normally with other illegal immigrants who haven't committed a crime in the US, but they have committed a crime because they illegally crossed without authorization. So that's why they round up all of them. Legally, ICE cannot just let someone go knowing that that person's illegal. They'll get fired, they'll get jailed. So they're doing their job. It's not their fault that the sanctuary cities don't want to just allow ICE to come in the jails and get the criminals that they're looking for. That's their top priority. So that's why.
3,000 Iranian nationals. Most national security threats don't have criminal histories. They're laying low to do the dirty deed. A lot of them are final orders. People who had due process at great taxpayer expense were ordered removed by a federal judge. Our job is to execute those orders and remove them. A lot of them are gang members. And so if you look at the data, and as far as the question is, okay, how about the ones that aren't national security threats, not public safety threats, not national security threats, not gang members? Who are they? They're collateral arrests. Because when the sanctuary cities force us into the neighborhood to find a bad guy, because they won't give us access to the jail, so now we got to go to the neighborhood and find them. When we find that criminal, many times they're with others who are in the country legally. We're not walking away from them. We're going to enforce immigration law.
They can't. It's illegal to do that.
So even if
they have to get
collateral
them.
people, they are subject to deportation even if they don't have a criminal record?
Absolutely. If they're in the country legally, it's not okay. Bottom line is, it's a crime to enter the United States illegal.
That's fact. Also, do you know how bold you got to be to come into a country illegally and then commit crimes while in that country? The audacity.
Legally, and we're not going to turn a blind eye to that.
Mr. Homan, thank you for
And,
being
I mean,
here.
if the message we want to send, Bill, is enter the country legally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it.
Well, that's what we
If-
had
But,
for in the
but that's the
past.
message we send, that enter the country legally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it. Unless you commit another crime, no one's looking for you, you're never going to fix this problem.
And that would incentivize people from all over the world to come into the country illegally, and we would just have an uproar of people here. It would just be crazy. You can't come into a country illegally, period. And if we just had that rule where we just slap you on the wrist and be like, oh, we won't do anything, it would not be good for us.
People are continuing to put themselves in harm's way to come to the greatest nation on earth.
I got a couple of questions. First of all, good to see you, and thank you for being on my show on a couple of occasions. I really appreciate it. But I have to ask you, when you say, okay, you enter the country illegally, it's that cut and dry, is that consistent in your mind with what the president told America during the campaign and immediately after, that he was targeting criminals, not people who just entered illegally?
I don't know what's wrong with Stephen A. Smith. He literally just explained to you, yes, we're going after the worst of the worst first. But if the worst of the worst first are with others that are illegal, who the only crime they committed was coming in illegally, if they're around and we see them, we have to get them too. That's the law. We cannot let them go. This isn't like getting a speeding ticket, or this isn't like speeding and then the cop just let you go on a warning. No, you can't come in here illegally. Oh man, Stephen A.
Like I just said, we are prioritizing criminal aliens, national security threats, and public safety threats. The data clearly proves it. 70%. Actually, the percentage of criminals were
That's a
arrested was
lot.
higher than what the Biden administration did, even though they said they're going to concentrate on criminal aliens who are convicted of aggravated felonies. And that's just a stone cold fact. We still target criminals. They come first, wars first. But are others wrapped up? Certainly, especially in sanctuary cities where most collateral arrests occur.
I have an angle that I think is what is causing trouble on this issue and for you personally, but we're here for them. So let me get an audience question. Amy, what is your question for Mr. Homan?
Hi, Mr. Homan. I'm from Chicago. And while I do appreciate all the hard work that the ICE officers have been doing, taking the worst of the worst, it seems to become more aggressive recently, probably in the past 2 months. A couple days ago, there's a large train station down the street from my house, and there were ICE officers 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's not always affecting just them. It's affecting regular citizens too. Delays, whatever. But I'm just curious why it's become so much more aggressive, and seems in Chicago mostly.
Well, that's because there's a lot of illegal immigrants in Chicago. And also because of the mayor, Brandon Johnson, ICE has to operate that way because he refuses to let them in the jails and get these criminals safely. It's way safer to get them in the jail. That way they're not in the public. They're just easily transportable. But because of him and because of his policies, that's why it's like this.
Well, a couple of things. If it's aggressive, I don't know if I use that term, but there's 1,000% increase on attacks on ICE officers. Have you seen the media lately? There's bounties on their heads for $50,000 to kill one of them. So they're very careful in the way they do these operations. They got to protect themselves. So I want to use the term aggressive. They're using a lot more precautions when they approach somebody. Second of all, if the mayor wants less ICE agents on the streets of Chicago, then let us in the jail to arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a jail where it's safer for Chicago residents, it's safer for the ICE agents, and it's safer for the alien.
That's all you
It
gotta
doesn't
do.
make sense to release a public safety threat who's in the country illegally back into the public. They like to say, well, we're a welcoming community. We want victims and witnesses of a crime who are illegally in the United States to feel free to come to the police without fear of working with ICE. That is a bunch of crap. Because victims and witnesses of a crime don't want the bad guy in the neighborhood either.
Exactly.
Amy's question, though, how common is it for the Chicago authorities to release dangerous migrants back into the population?
Every
How
day.
common?
Every day.
You have stats on it?
Certainly we do. We got a number of detainers we issued that weren't honored. If you look at the number of criminals we wrestled off the streets of Chicago, ICE has made Chicago safer. The governor and the mayor should be calling President Trump and thanking him for taking public safety threats off that street. It makes the street safer for Chicago residents like yourself.
You got to think, why do liberals fight for the criminals? Why, when they show what the criminal has been convicted of, what they've done, they always try to sugarcoat it? Why is that? I don't get that part.
No one's going to argue taking a criminal off the street doesn't make the community safer. I looked at the data this morning. There's over, there's about, between ICE and CBP, there's over about 530,000 removals. At 70%, you're looking at about 330,000 criminals that were removed from this country, which makes this country safer.
Could you explain why, when it comes to ICE agents, there's been this whole big deal about concealing their identity? Law enforcement
Come on,
officials
Stephen
throughout
A.
this
You act
country
like you don't know why.
don't get the license
Come
to
on,
do
man.
that. They have to walk up to you. They have to identify who they are. They have to make sure it's clear. An ICE agent getting to conceal their identity is not a privilege or a situation.
Stephen, listen. When you got congressmen like Hakeem Jeffries talking about doxing ICE agents, and you got others harassing ICE agents' family and themselves, you gotta have some protection. You gotta have some safety precautions. When you got bounties on ICE agents, what do you expect? And then the left would say, well, that's like intimidation, that's this or that. But what's more important, the ICE agent safety or them wearing a mask and you just feel a little intimidated? Like, these guys want to go home safely. They don't want any other problems when they're already dealing with the worst of the worst on these streets. Let them do their jobs peacefully and they wouldn't have to wear a mask. But no, you guys are trying to dox them. You guys are trying to punish them for doing their jobs. You're punishing their families. You're putting bounties on them. What do you expect?
That other law enforcement officials have. Why should ICE agents have that?
Look, I don't pretend.
And they clapping. And on top of that, I'm sorry, guys. On top of that, we were mandated to wear a mask. We were hiding our identity for 4 years almost. Almost 4 years. There's still people I see wearing masks. I don't know why. But literally, we were mandated to wear a mask. You couldn't go pretty much anywhere in the country. I think Florida and Vegas. No, Vegas, you had to wear a mask. Florida, don't believe you had to wear a mask. And Texas, part of Texas. But come on.
I don't particularly like the mask either, but name another law enforcement agency that's over 1,000% attacks.
Yeah, come on now.
And name another law enforcement agency whose spouses and children have been doxxed on social media and been attacked and bullied in churches and schools. These men and women put a gun on their hip and wear a Kevlar vest to go on the streets every day, look for the worst of the worst, makes this country safer. Them wearing a mask, if that protects them and protects their families, then that has to be done.
Yeah.
No one, I remember the days some of these cities, if they weren't wearing a mask during COVID, you got reported to the police and got arrested for it. These men and women are trying to protect themselves and their families. And again, I don't like the mask. I wish there wasn't need for it. But there's not
nobody wants to wear a mask. It's hot.
Dealing with the attacks that ICE is dealing with right now. Look, immigration enforcement, I've been doing it since 1984. It's always been controversial. It's always been emotional. But people need to remember the men and women at ICE, they don't hang their heart on a hook when they go to work. They're mothers and fathers too. They have children too. And they take very, very emotional things home with them every day. You know, I've done this for over 40 years. I stood in back of a trailer with 19 dead people who baked to death. I've talked to 9-year-old little girls that were raped multiple times by the cartels.
And another thing is, what do you want them to do as to another safety precaution? And They act like people don't know that they're ICE, or let's just say they don't know they're specifically ICE, but they do know they're law enforcement. They have on the vest, they have the badge, and there's multiple officers, agents with them. So it's not like they're just walking around without any kind of identification. No indicators on them. Come on. Nobody's walking around in groups with badges and guns and just picking up people all willy-nilly and knowing where to find the exact illegal immigrant. Come on, man. They know that they are law enforcement. Stop being naive.
These men and women take that home every day. These are heroes and they're patriots, and I'm happy and I'm proud to support them.
But Mr. Homan, respectfully, I get where you're coming from. But one could retort by simply saying, you know, when Obama was in office, he actually, and I said this to you when I interviewed you on my show, Obama
Oh, God, not Obama
deported
again.
more people than Trump did the first go round. But we didn't have
Yes, that's
this
true.
going on. So is it possible that the rhetoric of the president and the manner in which he chooses to verbalize his position on this issue may serve to antagonize the situation, and that is what is calling all of this, when you consider the fact that other presidents, like a president, you've acknowledged President Obama deported more people than President Trump before Biden went against Obama and decided to open borders. We didn't have these kind of issues until President Trump's second term. Even in his first term, it wasn't like this. So what level of culpability should the president and his administration have in regards to this?
None. None. Why? Because they're upholding the law. Secondly, it's totally different when not Biden, but when Obama was president and he was actually named like a border czar kind of. He was stopping people from coming in at the border. Now, because of Biden, who's let in between 10 and 15 million illegal immigrants in here, we have to catch them inside the US. So it's totally different. There's more manpower, more resources, more money involved doing this. Another thing is, it's actually the left with the rhetoric. The right is not saying anything about illegal immigrants, shaming them. They know why they're here, but they can't be here. They understand why they risk their lives to come here. This is the greatest country in the world. But the left is the one who consistently say that Trump and ICE and Trump supporters, MAGA, Nazis, fascists, they're the ones that are saying these crazy things and causing chaos. And they are enabling these protests. They don't condemn any of these protests when it becomes violent. Pay attention. They don't condemn it. The only time they condemned something was when Charlie Kirk died, when he was assassinated. The only time.
Well, first of all, I think President Trump was elected to the White House. The number one issue, enforcing immigration laws and securing the border.
I agree.
We have the most secure border in the history of the nation.
Most secure.
When you have the secure border, less people are dying from fentanyl, less drugs are coming in, less sex trafficking, women and children, less known suspected terrorists are coming in.
Not debating that.
Cartels are making billions of dollars less. They're going bankrupt.
Okay.
Having a secure border not only saves lives, when you have, like right now, 96% less people are coming. When 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being raped by the cartels? How many children aren't dying? How many pounds of fentanyl aren't getting in? How many known suspect terrorists are getting in? A secure border saves lives. And not only that, a secure border gives us strong national security. You can't have a strong national security.
But I'm not denying that. I'm saying I get where you're coming from. I totally agree with it. I'm just asking, what level of culpability should the administration have?
Stephen A. Smith, you're killing me. You know Trump isn't saying anything crazy about illegal immigrants other than, hey, they are criminals, which they are. The ones that come in illegally, they committed a crime by coming in illegally. The ones that are here illegally and they're committing crimes in the US, they are criminals. That's it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. I'll discuss this with you. I love feedback. And leave a like, subscribe, and for my YouTube Algorithm. See, I said it right. That word is kicking my ass. Do you guys have a word that you just can't say no matter how many times you practice? I've been practicing that word forever. I can't get it right, but hopefully I said it right. Don't judge me. This is a judge-free zone. Like, subscribe. See you later. Peace.